Welcome to Puzzling 101. This is a new series on my channel inspired by those comments that I get from people who are just starting into puzzling, and I wanted to give you a full dedicated series of me answering some questions that I often get. So today's question is going to be, what should I look for in a puzzle image? And so we're going to go over some things that I would look for if I was a newer puzzler and some things to take into account. And I'll leave whatever recommendations I have down in the description box. But I also want to ask those who are watching this who are experienced puzzlers some of your best suggestions or your favorite puzzles. So leave those in the comments. But I'm excited that you are here and you're just getting into puzzling. I am so excited for you. When you are just starting off into puzzles, you may be doing a ton of experimenting. So I don't want you to spend a ton of money on puzzles when you may have some great options either at a thrift store or used, or go to a puzzle swap, possibly to just try some things out. This is your time to experiment, to figure out what style of images you prefer, maybe the piece count that you are most comfortable with. And in piece count in general, I would say start lower versus higher. If you're just getting into puzzling and you're starting off with a 1,000 piece, kudos to you, but don't feel like you have to. You can start off with a 300 piece, try some different strategies, learn what you love before moving into those larger piece counts. I don't want you to lose your confidence. I just want you to enjoy the hobby, find puzzle images that you love, and what you might like might not work for other people. I know for me, I hate things that are super busy. My friend really loves things that are super busy. I love water and sky. Many people don't. So again, try things, experiment with things. But this video is just hopefully a good tool of things that you may want to look into when you are deciding what puzzle image you're going to be picking next. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's just get into it. The first category of puzzles that I would recommend to those who are new are collage style of puzzles. These images are really fun because they have very dedicated areas to work with. Oftentimes they may have a border or a frame, and they're easy to spot which selection of puzzle pieces go with which. It's easy to sort if you're wanting to try sorting. There may be some images that have different style of images within an image, so it's a good way to try different variations of stuff, and it's great as a beginner if you want to go up to those 1,000 piece puzzles, because you can have little mini puzzles inside of a puzzle. I have just a couple here for you to look at just so you know what I'm talking about, but here we have one from Eurographics. It's called Delicious Goodies. This one here is fun because it is a collage style of image, but you do have it in an actual image as well. So we have this little piggy who is cooking. We have some words here so you can practice a little bit of your lettering. And then we have a bunch of very distinct frames with very distinct images as the collage, which makes it a lot easier. You have some very brightly bold sections here. All the frames are different. All of them have different textures and different colors. If you see a collage style where all of them are gold frames, I would say maybe not, because gold frames tend to look a little bit the same, where these ones are illustrated, they're bright, they're colorful. I also love how this does have just one bigger aspect that you can practice with too. 300 pieces, so nothing crazy big, and is a good starting point. In general, a brand that is great to go to if you are a newer puzzler is White Mountain, because they have so many different collage style of images. Some are trickier than others. I'll link them down below. They also have a variety of different piece counts too, so you can start smaller. But if you're wanting to do a 1,000 piece as a collage, I do recommend going there because they have a ton of different options to go with. But I like the ones that have a distinct like square, not necessarily things overlapping if you're newer. And so this one here is called Love Stamps. It's one that I've done before, and it is a really fun, again, beginner friendly puzzle. Every single stamp is very different. You have big ones to go with, like this red one here. We have this one here that has kind of a crazy little pattern that you can work with. We have some that are very bright and bold, and then we have a lot of different words and lettering that you can try out. It also has a different style of border. This is one that I would say don't do border first because it is just black. So once you have the inside done, that's when you would do the border afterwards. And that's a great way to try a different strategy. If you're always doing edges first, you may find that tricky with this image. So maybe starting off with something that just catches your eye and working from there might be something new and different that you haven't tried yet. And so this one is a great one. In general, White Mountain is a great brand to go to if you are newer and wanting to try some collage puzzles. And then I brought this one out too. This one is called Vintage Alien Posters, a very, again, beginner-friendly puzzle. You have very distinct areas, lots of different words and different images. You know, some are a little bit more landscapey. We have lots of different styles of letters, but in general, it's super fun and quirky. I love quirky style of images. And then I brought this one out because it kind of gives a different take on a collage style of puzzle. This one is by the brand Happily. They have beautiful pieces. This one is called In the 90s. They have a few other decades as well. And it's a collage puzzle, but it doesn't have the regular frame that you see. But we have a bunch of little things from the 90s that are really easy to spot. There's so many different things to work with that you're never stuck. You can always find some element to work with. You can either work with like one thing, like maybe you want to do the graph paper first. So this one here is a good, again, beginner friendly one if you want to get out of the blocky squares of collages and move into something else. It kind of gives you a little stepping stone because we have, again, very distinct areas to work with. This is a great one if you are newer and want to do a 1000 piece. And again, collage style, so fun. Absolutely love this one. I've often mentioned in other videos about puzzles with layers, and I kind of want to explain what that is and how I can spot it in a puzzle. So this one here from Villager called Rocky's Explorer is a very beginner friendly puzzle because you definitely see clear areas to work with. We have this really fun gradient. So you have a little bit of line work, you have a little bit of color work that can work with. Moving down, we then have this mountain pass, which is again, easy to spot those pieces. Moving further down, we have this little bit of tree cluster. We also have a very distinct area of sheep. So we can still continue downwards to the water with the moose and the little log cabin, a little bit of cluster of flowers. And then even further down, we have different elements to work with. And you can see that you can break it up into segments and kind of go from top down. So it's a great way to see different layers in a puzzle. And I find it very approachable because you can sort out those pieces and really build your puzzle over time. Here's another great option for puzzles with layers. So this one here is by the brand Antelope. One of my best recommendations for a 1000 piece as a beginner. I love this one because it's bright, it's bold, but you again have very distinct areas where you can go top down, bottom up. You have very dedicated areas to work with, very approachable. Each building is a different color. Each building has different windows. Each building has different rooftops. Like, there's nothing that is too the same, which is very nice. You can also go again top down where you do this first row of houses first. So you can start with one way, work your way over, then go down and we have another row of houses, move down to the street scene. And then we have even a couple different layers of grass. So you only have a certain amount of pieces that you're working with each and every time. And it's easy again to see those different buildings and the different windows, and it's a good approachable puzzle. Now here's an example of a puzzle with layers that I may not suggest if you are a newer puzzler. We have this one, which as you can see, there are good layers. We have this beautiful sunset sky, which is very approachable. And then we even have different layers of like the purple flowers with the pink flowers, and we have this little mountain scene. But this one to me would be a really challenging one as a new puzzler. It was challenging for me as someone who's a bit experienced, because for one, just as a little note, sometimes when you see darker images, they may print a little bit darker than what you can see. So you may lose a lot of detail that you can see here in the image than what you can see in the puzzle pieces. Also, when you have very big areas of things that are the same, it can be really challenging. Also, in general, I find photograph puzzle images a lot harder than those who are illustrated with those clear line works, because some things may not be as in focus as what you could expect, and it might be hard to see those type of details in your pieces. So I'd say photographs, maybe not for a beginner, but also make sure, even though it has layers, that they're layers where they're very easy to see those differences and there's not too much of the same thing that you're looking at. I hope this makes sense. A couple other options I have here is this one by Eurographics. This is called Hammock with a View. This one is a great beginner-friendly puzzle because there's good clear areas to work with and big things that you can easily sort out. So we have first up this little section here, which is the hammock with the pillows and the blankets, and then we have this little section down here where it's a different table with books. We have a clear bit of woodwork here, which is very distinct from the woodwork that you can see at the top. And then we have these blue lines, which makes it easier to do those segments here. We also have a little bit of water, a little bit of sky, just little elements that you can try out. If you aren't a fan of flowers and puzzles, there isn't too many here, but you can easily see different elements of flowers, so that can help with that. So a great one, again, 500 pieces, so it's not a huge puzzle or time commitment, and it is a really fun little image. And finally, I just wanted to show you some puzzles that may look easier than what they actually are. So just some things to consider when you're looking into puzzle images and kind of really analyzing what you're actually looking at and what it would relate to as a puzzle. So we have this one here, which is adorable. And there's so many cute little elements in it. And when you're looking at it, you're like, oh, that looks very approachable. We have these little mushrooms over here. We have some water here. You know, nothing too crazy, nothing too busy, but it actually does have so much detail, and it is a lot more busy than what you'd actually expect. So this one, it's beautiful, but it's nothing huge that you can actually work with, nothing you can like pinpoint of working on a specific area, because even though you have these beautiful mushrooms, they're not that big. And we have like this purple mushroom with this blue mushroom, but there's actually purple on this mushroom. And then there's like reds here, but there's a few different types of reds. And then we have the water, but the water goes all the way back. And then we have a few other mushrooms that kind of look similar. Down here is just a little cluster of just chaos. So even though it's beautiful, there are different elements of it that makes it a lot more challenging. There's nothing huge to work with. I would just say, really analyze the images that you are choosing between, because are there good areas that you can sort out, or is it just like a hodgepodge of like a whole bunch of different stuff? And is the pieces distinct enough, or are there good areas that you can work with where you're never stuck? Another thing to consider are images that look beautiful, but maybe a lot more challenging than you'd expect. And I would say that in general goes for more fine art style of puzzles. I have this one here just to show as an example of a fine art. This one here is by Eurographics called Calypso. And this one here you can tell may have been done with like a watercolor painting. And so we have these beautiful flowers, but they kind of all like meld together. And this is I feel like an easier version of a fine art style of puzzle. Sometimes those brushstrokes look crazy when they're broken up into 1,000 little pieces. Where this one you can still probably approach, but we have very like kind of blurry lines that might make it a lot more challenging. There's also pink kind of in a few different areas, so you may pull out all the pink pieces, but they may go throughout the whole entire puzzle. And so those are things to consider when you're looking at your images. Like you may pull out all the red, but if the red is in 17 different areas on your puzzle, it may be a lot more challenging. Again, I also think brush strokes or paint strokes, things that are those fine art style of images or images that are based off of actual paintings, may be very challenging as a puzzle, because when you're broken up, you might just have a couple little brush strokes and that's all you got to work with. So this one is a good, I feel like, stepping stone if you're wanting to try some fine art puzzles. But in general, that style of image for me, even today, is a little bit more challenging than I'd expect. So your puzzle image that you decide is based off of personal preference, but I do hope this was helpful of just things to consider when you are buying your next puzzle, of what to look for, because what you see on the image might be completely different than what you see in the pieces. It might be a beautiful landscape puzzle, but then you get to the pieces and you may have 500 pieces of green grass, or maybe you want to do a beautiful 1,000 piece image, but maybe you want to start off with something smaller. That is definitely a great place to start. And so I hope that you found this video helpful. I would love to have more of your questions down below. So if you are a newer puzzler, let me know some of your questions down below. I'd love to help answer those for you as a little tool for others who are in the same boat. But thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.